Well, hello. I am Noah. I am actually Noah O. Cortez, full name. Um, I welcome you. I am doing this particular video, subject title Language Translation Not for Dummies. Not for Dummies. So I'm doing this to direct this video to my clients, which I still hope that they're with me, although it's become a little lonely here because of the fact that not getting any action here. Um, Listen, have had my service for a total of 16 years. Okay, one of course this year didn't really count because no action. Um, and I'm doing it to direct it to people in this LinkedIn network, uh, which is supposed to bring me a lot of business. Wow. Um, Listen, if you're an attorney, you have a law firm, you have associates, there's court reporters agencies involved here that I've invited onto my platform, and not just for fun or for entertainment, it's for business, right? LinkedIn is supposed to be a business site. It's not like my YouTube channel. That's another story for some other day. The thing is here, I have been involved again a total of 21 years, okay? And clients have kept using me year after year after year, okay? Why? Because I've proven myself over and over and over again. And so there's nothing false, no hoax here. Everything is real. And it's just a matter of your preferences. I understand that some of you are, you know, like if you're what do you call it, a respondent attorney, then sometimes there's cases where your insurance companies, the people you work for, determine who to use or who not to use as an interpreter or as a translation service. And it's a shame because, personally, you know me, we've interacted, you've been a witness to my type of work, yet not allowed to use my services because maybe some Fortune 500 thing going on with the insurance companies that they have their translation services, that they prefer to use because of this rule. Um, but it is a shame because again, many of you have witnessed my work, whether you are a plaintiff or a petitioner or a respondent or a defendant attorney, you've witnessed it, and as well as ADR systems. I've done work there time after time, and I would expect some sort of recognition or something there that could give me a chance to work at these places again. Right? Again, it's been a rough year for most of us, but then there are some that are profiting from the whole pandemic thing, and whichever way. Um, and then there's again those that have been on my network that were invited. We're talking about law firms, and I don't know, judges, arbitrators, and court reporting agencies. Everybody who's involved, okay, in some way. Insurance companies. My God, I got State Farm, Allstate, whatever. Yet, you know, um, there are people under them, which are law firms, are not allowed to use my services for some reason. And it's a shame because many of you have witnessed my work, and I have maintained an A+ rating with the Better Business throughout my time as a independent contractor, as a self proprietor for all mainstream interpreting, and well, I would expect a lot more from you. Bottom line. So let's go into this title. Subject title is Language Translation, Not for Dummies. Okay? And let's start with, say, a scenario based on a deposition. Okay? Everyone gets there, everybody greets themselves, everybody's attuned. It is decided before the deposition whether the dep is going to be taken under, well, yeah, of course, under oath. We're all going to be placed under oath, right? But if it's going to be consecutive or simultaneous, for those that do not know, simultaneous means I follow two words behind. Now, most court reporters would not like that. They don't like to hear two, three voices going on at the same time, and I can understand because they have to type every word, right? So most of the time it's done consecutively. It means you're going to express a phrase, and I will, listen, memorize, store, and translate from whatever language. In my case, it's from English to Spanish, and then from Spanish to English, right, for their clients. So that's going to be established first, right? Because sometimes there's interruptions. Well, you establish whether it's going to be done simultaneous or consecutive from the get-go, from the opening of the dep, right? So, okay, we're placed under oath. Then, an interpreter should always project their voice to the court reporter. That doesn't mean you have to face her, okay? Or it doesn't mean, especially, that you have to be next to her. The main thing is to be next to your client's client, the person who needs you to interpret. So it's not, I've been in situations where I almost break my neck or I have a sore neck because I'm supposed to be right with the court reporter. But that's not really necessary. What's necessary is for you to project, okay, to enunciate, okay, to pronounce the words in the best manner you can, right? Because sometimes people that are not born in this country, they seem to think that they have something over an American, a person that's born here in the United States. And yeah, in many cases, they do when it comes to the Spanish language, but in other cases, they're weak in their English, and when I mean weak, it's like, well, you have to be able to, again, enunciate and project the words. And sometimes if you're not born here, you have a heavy accent, and that's going to be a problem in some cases because, the reason you want an interpreter is to be able to not just translate what's going on, what their client is saying, but to be able for them to understand what you're saying. Because if it's going to be, trouble with their client speaking English, then you don't want to have problems with an interpreter speaking English or being able to enunciate the words at least so you can understand them, right? Doesn't mean that they don't know their, English. It just means that they just don't project, enunciate, and articulate some words and things that need to be emphasized. And so that's one point there that's very important. Integrity, well, you're not going to go there and try to BS your way through a deposition. That's out. That's completely out. When I'm not available, I subcontract and I'll send somebody, but I'm going to send someone qualified, okay? Not just because I want to make the money, so I'll just get somebody that's known as a translator somehow and send them there, and aim for them to perform a poor produce a poor performance, and it's going to ruin the record, and it's going to ultimately ruin my business. For sending yahoos. I haven't heard that word in a while, but somehow it came up, yahoos. Um, so yeah, again, just because you are not born here, and maybe you're a resident, or maybe you have become a citizen, doesn't give you any type of superiority over an American-born interpreter or translator, because some of us have lived in other countries for a while just for the purpose of practicing and learning. In my case, to learn Castilian, which is wider than just being limited or restricted to what they're known as Mexican Spanish. So you need to, and I'm glad I did, because back in the day, a lot of Colombians were looking for asylum, and had I not studied in South America, they're very critical. Colombians especially very critical. If you don't know their language, you don't know their dialect, forget it. They're going to dismiss you, and that's embarrassing, of course. So it's when I first started in this business, this trade, some people, an agency I work for, I will not mention their name, were just sending people out there because they were trying to make money, and they don't know if you're qualified or not. It's just like, are you bilingual? Yeah, you're bilingual. That's not good enough. You have to really study the terminology, whether it's medical or litigation, because some words will come up that you have no idea. And it was embarrassing for me in the beginning, because I knew that I was over my head when I first started. I wasn't rehearsed well, but I was likable, and people, trusted that I knew what I was doing, and it wasn't an intent to BS my way into it. It's just that I was trying to also establish a particular schooling within this agency, and where did they get me? Out. You're out. I tried to, to have, I don't know, to establish some kind of schooling and training within this agency, and they decided to get rid of me instead. It's cheaper for them. Again, those people do not operate with integrity, and it's about the money, and it's not about the work that you're gonna do, because you want these records to be clean, and you have to have integrity. I mean, you're not going there and be pious just because you're Hispanic or Latino, whatever, or whatever race or nationality you are. You're not going to do that. This is also about ethics, and you do not go there and favor anyone. You're going to be biased. I mean, you're going to be non-biased, sorry, unbiased, okay, whether you're working for a defendant or a plaintiff or a petitioner or a respondent, doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. What matters is that you do your work how you're supposed to do it, honestly. And, back in the day, there was no Google Translator thing, and I've seen some of these certified professionals, pull out their Google translation, or not sure. And that's good, that's fine. But, before it was about having to look through a dictionary or something, which takes a little more time, right? But you want to be well rehearsed and stuff. But every day it's like everybody, like attorney says, well, we learn as we go along, and you're not going to learn everything at school and things, so you just learn out in the field, and you have to be able to know these things. And so yeah, the translation on a Google, on a phone, on a smartphone, it's a good thing, but you try to avoid that. If you have to, for the sake of accuracy and doing your job correctly, then you need to pull that Google Translator out, or some sort of translation service you may have on your phone. Okay, so it's important again to be unbiased. All right, that's what it is. Discipline. You have to be disciplined. There's some word that you had to end up looking up, or that you not sure of, then you need to write that down. I have thousands of sheets where I noted stuff. Um, because sometimes you send to a field of where you do not you're not that well rehearsed. I mean, there's I don't know certain things in litigation that you just not you don't do it every day, and you hardly ever get involved in them. Whether it's divorce or family law or construction or things like that all involve litigation. Um, you have to get familiar with all that terminology. And again, if clients have stuck to me, and I've been certified by many judges and arbitrators, and they like me, and they know that I'm doing a good job and that I've done a good job, especially if you can do a deposition within 45 minutes. Okay, that's a great thing. An hour and a half, it's even good. Beyond that, well, you're pushing it, but then again, you're there and you need to remain there for 3 hours. So it's not about a rush thing. It's just about accuracy and being able to just perform your work. Just like any other attorney, everyone has a different style of deposing someone, at hearings, up and before the judge and jury. There's some that overperform, and there's other ones that are right in the mix, right in the pocket, and they're assertive and they're precise and accurate and all that stuff, and they work well with interpreter. That's another thing too. Um, you know, Experience working with a translator or an interpreter is important. It's important because you don't rule everything. As an interpreter, you're taught, you're trained, you're taught to be able to sometimes raise your hand and stop the witness from just throwing out a bunch of stuff. It's phrase per phrase, and if it's going to be simultaneous, then the person carry on and you follow 2 words behind. Period. But when it's consecutive, you do not let the witness or whoever's testifying just carry on. You can't do that. So you need to raise and stop the person. It's not that you're trying to stop him from saying something. No, again, being unbiased and being honest and having some integrity is not going to allow you to do that. Okay? You're there to do your work. That's it. There's nothing else. So, yeah, you have to be able to stop the person. And I was once in a deposition where it was an arbitration, and the attorney said to the arbitrator, says, "Can you, Your Honor, can you please have the interpreter refrain from lifting his hand?" In other words, but I was doing it because, again, there's got to be order. Okay, order in the courtroom, right? And it's the same thing, when it's already agreed that it's going to be done consecutively, then you need to be able to be doing phrase per phrase, translate, interpret. Again, translation is mostly in writing, interpretation is in English. Does it mean that you are doing a summary of any kind? No, you're interpreting just like you would in translation. It's just a difference. The difference between translation is in writing and interpretation is verbal. Okay, let's move on. Courtesy. Well, you show courtesy to everyone, right, in the room. You don't go in there being arrogant, whether you're an interpreter or an attorney. And I'm not here to talk about how an attorney is supposed to conduct, but I'm also here to also defend an interpreter because, again, by raising their hand is to stop the witness from just throwing out stuff that he wasn't even. I mean, it's lengthy, okay? It's very hard sometimes to get the person to just answer the question. So they're going to go in circles and they're going to do this to avoid answering the question for whatever reason they have. I don't know. You know, the thing is that kind of screws, and I'm sorry to use that word, but it does mess with the interpretation, with the interpreter. Um, so the attorney must also be very disciplined about that. If he tells the witness to just answer the question, then that's got to be it. No more of this. Going around in circles and not because that ends up making the interpreter look ridiculous, and we don't want to look ridiculous because somebody doesn't want to answer a question or because somebody has to. Now, if you're asked to elaborate, like they say, the attorneys, if the witness is asked to elaborate on his answer, then yeah, or to describe or something, yeah, sure, he's free to do that. The interpreter just has to follow through. But when you're firmly asked to answer the question and nothing more than the question, and sometimes you can answer yes by yes or no, but they don't, you know. So this is where the stress and the anxiety and everything starts to, trigger, and everyone there, and not just the interpreter, but especially on the interpreter. All right, so I don't want to make this a big thing, but Vine said you got to go in there again, focused and dedicated to your work. Pronunciation, projection, pronunciation, everything needs to be there. Articulation, so you don't make it hard for the court reporter as well. The court reporter is going to rely on the interpreter, okay? Because she's going to have, if the interpreter has a heavy accent, it's going to be a problem. And it is a problem for many court reporters because they keep asking, I'm sorry, can you repeat that? Oh, can you say that again? Oh, what did you say? Or whatever, And that's not good for for the court reporter as well, right? They want to be able to hear what you say. Again, doesn't mean that you have to sit next to them and babysit them or anything, direct everything to them. It just means that you have to project and enunciate. The person who needs an interpreter usually wants the interpreter next to them. And the other side, sure, it could be their attorney. They feel safe. They feel safer. Okay? So, memory, focus, again, very focused on what you're doing, and avoid distractions. And again, stay in control of the witness. Don't let him just go and blah, 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 just because, I don't know, because he's not used to the type of setting. He's used to being, this is another thing too, people are talkative, they're used to, they talk at home, they talk, and this is not the setting for them to just carry on. So there has to be discipline and order when there's a DEP going on, a court hearing, or an arbitration. Once I had a hearing at the circuit court, and and this is another problem too. When someone takes, say, a secretary from his office who's bilingual, to take her or him to monitor a professional interpreter, not good. It's not a good idea, because first of all, you're insulting in a way the interpreter, because if he's someone like myself, I'm not there to BS anyone, to do anything kind of, to get pie through something. No. You go and do your work. You put your best focused memory, energy, everything involved, So there was a case where just because there was handrails, the handrail broke and the person fell. Okay, that was the case. That's it. I said barandiles, and she said barandales. So she brought it to her boss, which was an attorney for some firm, and then he brought it to the judge's attention. So that puts me in a situation where Well, the judge says, well, it's, Mr. Cortez, you're certified. It's insulting after so many years. But of course, you're not going to get upset. You're just going to try to explain if they allow you to. This judge was not allowing me to explain, but I had to put it in there that it was a matter of you say tomato, I say tomato. That's all. Because the word barandiles, which is handrails, you know, it's the same thing. It's just different dialects, but it's the same word, just in a different dialect. Now, the worst thing is the person testifying had understood me well, you know, but the person the Barinsky, the person that I don't know, feels like a peacock or something, that feels greater than a professional interpreter just because they speak Spanish. Well, that person may be limited to a particular dialect, okay? In this case, she surely was. So I had to defend myself. I didn't look ridiculous and being embarrassed by the judge, who was just I had never worked with him before. He didn't know me. And I had to put it out there and, and say, it's just a matter of you say tomato, I say tomato. That's it, you know? So, sometimes, again, it's not a good thing to take a monitor. I mean, some secretary who's not a professional, not aware of different dialects, just whatever neighborhood or whatever country they come from, that's it. That's all they know, and that's what they get by. And the attorneys don't know any better when it comes to that, right? So I also have interpreted in front of judges and arbitrators and attorneys that speak Spanish, even whether they're Irish or Jewish religion or whatever they may be, they speak Spanish, and then there are some that can be a pain in the ass because they little kitchen Spanish they learn, well, they were waiters or whatever they were before becoming an attorney. It's distorting because again, we learn about different dialects and things like that. So let's finish up here. Yeah. So here, closing, I'd say that when you need to take a break, this is very important too. If an interpreter needs to take a break, they must be allowed to take a break because whether it's any kind of bodily function, whether it's even just urine. Okay, I have to say it because if you hold it in, it starts distorting your memory, your mode, everything. So if you need to be excused and take a little break, you need to take it because otherwise you will be held responsible for any kind of screw up, any kind of mess up, any inaccuracy. So it's always, take a break, come back fresh, whatever, and start, And so with that, again, I'm open for Zoom depositions, trials, arbitrations. It's not a problem. I am experienced with that. You just have to have good Wi-Fi on your side because I've had experiences in the past where the Wi-Fi was not good, and you can't hear, and something you cannot hear, you cannot translate. Sorry, that's just the way it is, right? And so your Wi-Fi, everything has to be, well interconnected, so you can do the Zoom thing right, And lastly, I wish every one of you a happy, a safe, a healthy 2010. Whoa! All right, I go back to 210, 221. Right? We need to start afresh. Hopefully business will start happening again. I don't know. It just depends on this pandemic and people that are not following protocol make things worse, and this, that, and the other. Okay? That's all I can say, and I truly thank you for taking the time to listen to this because it's about reestablishing and reintroducing myself to clients, potential clients. Again, if you're on my network, okay, you're a court reporting agency, and you're using other services, please give me a break. Have some some integrity and leave. Go elsewhere, because really what you're doing is just using me to promote your services, whether it's with my clients or whatever. You can't do that. I mean, you shouldn't do that. It's unethical, and so consider using my services, and you'll stick here on my network. Otherwise, you need to go away, or you need to be blocked. And I'm sorry, but that's just the way it is. I think it's only fair, if you're going to be on my network, use my services. Know who I am too. I am a Spanish language interpreter. Okay, I have this website. I have this. You should know who I am. Don't ask what do I do for a living, because then you give yourself away. And if you want to connect with me, make sure that you are doing it for the right reason, not to come in here and hustle me or hustle other clients or people, connections that I have, with something ridiculous or something that's not even legit. Okay. So again, I thank you so much. I am Noah O. Cortez, Spanish language interpreter with All Mainstream Interpreting, and I wish personally my clients, okay, a safe and a prosperous 2021 for all of us, right? Good health, goodwill. May God bless us all. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll see you then. You can find all information on my website. Phone number, you can do info at All Mainstream Interpreting, or you can do Noel Cortez at live.com. And that's it. We'll get you booked, and we'll get you going. And this is me, and that's it. There's nothing else. Okay? Thank you so much. Take care.